And joining us now is candidate for the Democratic primary in the 87th Assembly District. We welcome now to the show John Perez. And thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. And first of all, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you, Daren.
So share with us a little bit about this here. You're running for the 87th. Why do you want to run?
There are many reasons why anybody makes a decision or somebody makes a decision to run. Obviously, the work that I've already done and the work that I was able to transition into the Army and come back out is really enlightened me to the fact that there is much needed leadership out here in the community. And I think that I have that type of leadership to lead this community in the direction that it needs to go in.
When you talk about the 87th, obviously a lot of issues. What do you think are the most important issues germane to the 87th?
The 87th is not any different than any other district. The 84th has a lot of issues. The 78th has a lot of issues. They're all common issues: housing, crime. They're all common issues. The ones that separate the Parkchester is that it is a dual community. You have a lot of homeowners there. You have a lot of people who have invested in their homes over there. And then you also have the public housing crisis that's been going on for many, many years. And it's not as unique as any other district, but is unique on its own.
And so when we talk about the issues, you talk about one of the things that you want to deal with is vocational trade schools. So give us a little bit about your take on vocational trade schools.
Absolutely. Vocational trade school, I've been working on this project for a very long time, among other educational projects that I've been working on for over 20 years. The trade schools are very important. You have to market an individual. You have to make them marketable. You have to make these people understand that education is the key out of poverty. And how do you become at the top of the selection pool is by being educated, having a trade, having an education, and being able to market yourself out there so that you can engage some of the companies to probably come back in and reinvest in their communities.
Family court. I see you talk about family court reform. So when you look at family court, obviously the courts are overcrowded,
Right.
But you want to address that issue as part of your candidacy.
Absolutely. I have a personal issue with the family court system, and I believe that it needs a lot of help, especially when it comes to domestic violence, sexual assault, and sexual harassment, which I'm a big advocate against sexual assault and sexual harassment, especially when it comes to minor children. If we remove the incentives that some of these organizations have, I think that we will be better off managing the system. It's really designed to keep families separated. It's not designed to bring families together. I mean, I can speak a lot more on this, but it is a touchy subject. A lot of people don't understand it, but I believe that if I start to explain it, people will start to get it.
Mm-hmm. So when people ask the question, who is John Perez? Who do you tell you I am? Why should they vote for you?
Absolutely. John Perez, it's not to pat myself on the back, but John Perez has been a guy who's been around for a very, very, very long time. 20 years ago, I was the co-founder of We Stay Nos Quedamos, an organization that actually has been on the show on several times, and they've done a lot of great work in the community. Earlier on, I was working for a local elected official at the time when that was happening, when the word gentrification came out. I organized with a couple of people. I engaged Yolanda Garcia, which was actually the face of Nos Quedamos for a long time. And that's how that started. And gradually working, I mean, ever since I was a kid, I was working with the non-medallion. My father was the president of the non-medallion taxi cabs here in New York, gypsy cabs. So politics has always been a part of my life. Gradually moving over, I needed something more. For some reason, something told me, you need something more. This is not the type of leadership that these people need. So I joined the Army, thinking that they were going to do something different. And they actually did. They helped me structure what was important and address the issues, not become a reactive individual. So coming back out here, I know now you make an assessment what needs to happen. We talk about the vocational trade schools. We put the vocational trade schools in place. This is something that we've been talking about for many years, but nobody has done anything about it. They always fall back on the same common trends and customs of every elected official. Everybody runs on the same thing. I have 2 years to accomplish something in a district. I don't have 10 years. I have 2 years. If I get elected, I get elected for 2 years. What can I bring in those specific 2 years to make a difference? What's going to separate me, or what's going to set me apart from everybody else? And that's what I'm hoping to do.
So you have 2 years if you're elected. If you get in, what's your first priority?
My first priority is to raise awareness and hopefully pass Daren's Law. Daren's Law is one of the biggest laws that, you got 35 states that passed Daren's Law. Daren's Law is a law that was created by Daren, a young lady that was sexually assaulted and didn't know who to go to, and made it a priority that schools should be an advocate for children. So schools will be responsible also to educating children and providing them a voice for any assistance that they may need. This has gone up before the state Senate twice. It shot down to the state assembly, and that's where it died. So twice it went to the state Senate. It passed with record numbers. It goes to the state assembly, and it doesn't happen. So there's a problem there. So that is one of the key issues that I want to address immediately. The other thing is I've been working on the high school military academy here in the Bronx, and that's something that I've been working on for a very long time. Even in Nos Quedamos, that's where the original school was supposed to go, where Boricua College sits right now. That was the design, that was the concept, and that was the goal. We were going to put a military academy there. However, I got deployed, so kind of like things got lost in the mix here or whatever. Coming back home, I had to find the location where we would be able to put this place, and we found it on Castle Hill. Also, the Kingsbridge Army National Guard that's there. That's another component of this. For 20 years, they've been trying to figure out what they're going to do with the Kingsbridge Armory. There's been a lot of discussion on it. There's been a lot of ideas, but nothing has happened. One of the key issues is that the National Guard is there. Well, what are you going to do with it? Find a home for them. Well, being trained in being able to look for these things and what the Army is actually looking for, we actually found a location in Castle Hill as well that's going to outfit. We're talking about 77 acres maximum, 84 acres minimum. 84 acres maximum, 77 acres minimum to outfit the Military High School Academy, the Army National Guard, full base, full operation base.
Before we leave, I want to get your take on the housing situation. How do you view housing in your district?
What part? The whole thing? I mean, there's so many components.
Development, right?
Right. You know, there's a lot of components to it. You know, being a military guy, we want to know specifics. We want to know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, the housing issue is a problem. You have vermin, you have rats, roaches. You have peeling paint. You have unworking elevators. Have you ever gone to the projects, we call them? It's a dungeon. It's gloomy. It's dark. People lose sight of what's important when they have to go constantly to a place where it's not safe, it's not clean. You know, the odor in there is horrendous, let alone the repairs that need to happen. It is a priority. It should be a priority. And this is not something that one particular assembly person, but collectively, everybody in that district, every elected official in that district should be pounding on the doors to get those things repaired.
John Perez, that's all the time we have for this segment of In the District. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
I get the left hand so the
That's
right hand
all
is
right.
better. All right. John Perez, our guest. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with more right after this.